There we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What is today? The January the 16th, 2018. Welcome to the weekly Rebel Roundtable, where we get rowdy and tell each other how it is and hopefully make the world of restoration a little bit of an easier place to navigate. Before we get started, we always read the 4 agreements or the 4 Rebel rules, depending on how feisty we want to be today. So here we go. The Restoration Rebels push the agenda of the Restoration 2.0 movement. Our purpose is to empower and educate the insurance consumer in order to create a more fair claims process. Rule number 1, I will protect the value of my services. I will never provide free services, as these only serve to erode the value of contractor services industry-wide. Rule number 2, I will practice incredible transparency in my communications. I will explain our processes in detail to my client. I will never hide details or manipulate reports. I will never communicate with a third party without also communicating with my client. Rule number 3, I do not believe in competition. Restoration companies in my market are a part of my community. I will be an active member of the restoration community. It is our unbreakable unity that will create the change that we strive for. Rule number 4, I am willing to walk away from any project, client, or contract that is not compatible with my values and stated mission. No relationship is worth taking part in if it requires losing money, sleep, or my humanity. There we go. All right, before we get really into the thick of things, I want to talk about, I had one of our members on the phone today, or 2 days ago from Liverpool, England. And we had a great conversation. It was interesting to hear that side of restoration and their unique take on our industry. But at the end of the day, he asked me, hey, do I have any advice? And I just came up blank as far as I had no restoration advice to give the man, but I had lots of business advice to give him. And that's when it hit me. We have a tendency, who needs to be muted? Somebody get some feedback. I'm going to just start muting people here. We overthink what it means to be a restoration contractor, and we emphasize the restoration and we de-emphasize the contractor, right? Every single one of us is running a business. We run a business first. It happens to be specialized in restoration. There are some tactical things that have to do with restoration that we deal with just as being contractors in this particular niche. But the overarching theme of running a business is the same. We need to have good contracts. We need to do our own marketing. We need to come up with our own way to get business. We need to decide for ourselves who our client is. What is our client avatar? That only when we decide who our client is, can we decide to go after that client. The minute we take somebody else's word for where our business should come from, somebody else's word for what we should charge, somebody else's word for how we should run our business day in, day out, every time we do that, we're living somebody else's version of our business, or we're living somebody else's version of our lives. And their version is not made for me. Their version is not made for you. So let's stop doing that. As a whole, let's just stop living other people's versions of our lives and get on with our lives in our way. We are rebels. We're going to talk about changing our name today. We're going to talk about that. And Clark's going to have some things to say about that. And I have some things to say about that. But at the end of the day, we're rebels. We're here because we believe that we are in the best position to control our lives. And we're going to do that come hell or high water. So another thing I want to talk about tonight as we get into it, the Restoration 2.0, what the next version of our industry is going to look a lot like the next version of every other industry, meaning it's going to be focused on one thing. And I'm going to tell you that one thing is time. What does Uber sell? Uber does not sell rides. Uber does not sell taxis. Uber sells time. They sell your time back to you because when you were driving, you were concentrating on the road. Now what can you do? You can read a book. You can make a phone call. You can get on your laptop and do stuff. the trade-off of whatever I pay that Uber driver versus the time I get in return that's where the value is. So we need to look at what are we doing in our processes for our clients to save them time. Is that reducing the friction of filing a claim? Is that reducing the time it takes to respond to emergency, or reducing the time it takes to put their house back together? What are we doing to save them time? Because I guarantee the Lemonades of the world are saving a lot of time when they're settling claims in seconds instead of weeks, when they have zero adjusters on staff, so you're not waiting for an adjuster to show up because your claim is already settled. They're selling time. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. We've got to change our name. Not really. We got to come up with a different name, maybe a co-branding name. We need to think about how we're marketing our businesses and how we're going to go get that business and how we're going to show value to our potential clients in the next version of the restoration industry. Great. We got 20 people in the room ready to rock. So, Clark, you want to talk about, where'd Clark go? I lost him. Clark, you want to talk about why are we talking about changing our name?
Yeah, I can do that. We have some crazy oh, hold on, I'm muted.
No, I got it.
We have some crazy members, don't we? I'm laughing at Robert Kiefer. He took like a still photo of my video today, and he's got me with like my mouth wide open, and he just picks up my I'm not above ridicule, I promise you. Yeah, so I guess I'll repeat what I said in the video a little bit, and then we can expand upon it. So I was talking to someone, and I don't mean to say that they were high up on the level, but somebody from our industry that is held in higher esteem, that might be not uppity, but someone that's been around a very long time, and who, really just makes a big impact in our industry. Told me, he said, listen, I've known him a long time. He said, Clark, I love what you guys are doing. I think you're saying a lot of the things that need to be said. And I think y'all have actually, in the short period of time, what y'all have done, blah, 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 all the same things we already know. He said, listen, y'all have got some momentum. You're doing something different. You're not, blah, blah, blah. He goes, but I personally, and he goes, and I speak for a lot of people that I communicate with, I can't attach myself to the word rebel on a public, like at events and with co-sponsoring things and collaborations. He said, I get it, and I know why you're called that, and it's a little bit of fun, there's a little bit of levity in there. But he said it just sends the wrong signal. And we all know that some people can't join us because they're in the TPA universe and it would devastate their business. But that's not what this is about. This is about people who don't live in that know that while we sit here and say that insurance and carriers, we don't have to work with them, but they are part of our universe. We cannot isolate them or we'll lose. And I think much of the theme of this group has been, we're not going to beat them, but we're certainly going to learn how to work within that system and make a good living, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't disagree, but I don't agree either. So I openly posted that up. I like that we're rebels, and we've taken that name and run with it. And I don't necessarily want a bunch of big wigs and a bunch of committee and a bunch of people in this group that don't. It's not that, but I do want us to continue, because we will plateau. I mean, we'll get to a point where somebody says, okay, you got me. I got 10 and 10 now. What next?
Right.
So
right.
I think this group has more space to go. I think we have some more things we can achieve, and winning with honey instead of vinegar seems to be it. So I posted it up. What would we be called? We started out as Restoration 2.0. That was your first iteration of this idea. That was the brainchild. And I think the rebel came from, did I lose you? No, I think the rebel came from the Alliance, the moniker that you've got there over your shoulder. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that's how we came about. It's a certain science fiction movie made by a certain company. I don't want to say it.
So Lucas.
Yeah, Mr. Lucas. Yeah. So that's what I introduced, and I wanted to get it, but it needs to be a lot of people's input and see what everybody. I think we saw a lot of answers after it. I think we saw what a little bit of.
And I'm leaning towards network before association. I'm leaning towards alliance before league or anything. We got to look at what exists out there. We have associations out there. We have these big. We have standards bodies. We don't want to be another standard body. We don't want it to be another association. It's going to have a monthly meeting. It's going to dwindle into nothing as well. So let's open it up, and then after when we're done opening up, I want to get first timers a chance to say yes. But let's open it up. This is open floor. What is your opinion? And
I'd like to know what the overall goal is. Like, so let's say this. The reason why different people have different opinions on the title is because some people are more comfortable with some things than others, right? And so my question would be this. I didn't start the group, and I can agree, and this is the truth, I agree with 85 or 90%. Like, there's a couple of the things that I don't agree with, kind of that I don't live by in the 4 rules, right? But does that mean that I should dismiss everything else about the movement? Because that'd be short-sighted. And I think it's important, because if you're asking about what you change the name to, why you're changing it matters before you decide on what you're going to do next. So, and I say that because, I mean, I just started another group, and I didn't know what to call it, so I called it Restoration University, because I'm more big-sided, and here's the best way I would describe this. It's more about businesses and owners rather than it is about operations and containment. Just everything's got, you know what I'm saying? Because that's who I can help better, right?
Yep.
And so for that reason, my question, Andy, Clark, whoever else, like, what is it that you want to do? And I can just tell you my perspective as to what the polarizing portion of it. Here's the risk. Some of the voices get louder than others, and then the group could be dismissed by some of the right-wing activists, right? And that's what you don't want to happen. And I think that's the biggest part.
Well, two answers for you, and I'll start with the second one. First off, whoever's going to dismiss us out of hand for somebody saying something they don't agree with, fuck them. That's going to happen. And I give this many cares about what the world at large believes about my movement, because it's mine. It's ours. So, secondly, to answer your, let me get one more person in here. What are we about? At the end of the day, we're about relevance and survival, because when there are no adjusters and there are no estimators, and there's an app for you live inside an ecosystem of your app, and your house and your insurance company are tied in. My biggest concern is I want the restoration contractor to still be able to play a role in that environment. And the only way I see that happening is if we define our own market and go create a new market that does not look like the market we exist in now, because we are quickly becoming irrelevant, and we just don't realize it yet. We want to think we're really super important, but at the end of the day, the market makes all the decisions. And the market says hey, I can save 15 minutes. I can save a week of my life by going this other direction. Well, shit, yes, I'm going to do that because they made the decision easy for me. So it's about relevance and survival and thriving. And the secondary goal of mine is to change how claims are handled and make them a life-affirming process, a process where everyone walks away going, man, that wasn't bad. That was actually kind of pleasant, because the people I dealt with were cool, and I didn't lose my shirt, and I didn't lose any sleep, and everything's put back to normal. The way really I think it was intended to be from the beginning, but it just got skewed because there's too many players with the wrong intentions. That was a long answer to your question, though.
No, not really. That's the only reason I was questioning about kind of the 4 that comes after that.
Yep.
Because you've got the name and then the for, which is a further, and so one of the things that I was just kind of about, here's what I've learned, because there's nobody on this planet and there's nobody in this group I can argue with the best adjuster and I'll win. I always do. But I've learned that there's two things that happen when I win. And this is like when I argue with my wife. I win, but you still what? You lose. And because at the end of the day, even if I do get more money, even if it is 30% more, it's $300-400, right? That my winning at times comes at the expense of either A, the relationship of my referral source, or B, it doesn't have to, but often it does, right? The expense of the utility of my customer, because they're sitting there waiting in limbo. Why, you know what I'm saying? And it's very relative, right?
Then that's not a win.
Do I settle at 10 or 15? And that's what I'm saying. So what I've learned is I was looking at the wrong thing. And I was focused on the wrong thing. And honestly, as my company's grown and I'm not the one doing it anymore, it's easier for me to say, just fix it. But when I'm in there, I get butthurt and I'm like, no, you go get your money, because it's my money. I was the one sweating for it. But truth be told, when you look at it from the top down, that's all I'm saying. It is, if it's customer centric, you're more likely, because normally if you get a referral, you're getting a referral because they care about the customer.
Yes.
I just think everything needs to go around the customer.
You're exactly right. And I think last week I showed you a diagram of the world of medical claims, health insurance, and the way it could be. And the way it could be, and it probably will be, is that customer is right dead in the middle. Everything is around it in a spoken wheel instead of this linear transition we have right now, where there's gatekeepers and there's a contract and there's an insurance policy. It's very straight up and down. Yet customer centric, ultra customer focus, that's the future. And
so what if we just do this? Why don't we just shift the dynamic? I mean, if you can teach your first responders a borderline claim from a non-borderline claim, just don't even mention insurance. If we do a better job at sales, you don't even go the insurance route because you talk them into paying out of pocket.
Exactly right.
Right? And that's how you change.
Insurance
that's how
claim
you
is
do
bonus. Yes.
Yeah. Or a penalty. Right?
Right.
Because then you get drugged through. Because now you don't even have to go throw the freaking thing in Xactimate. You do it right there on your mobile phone.
Exactly right.
Take the payment before you start.
So we need to start operating as if insurance companies don't exist, and build, rebuild, redesign our framework, redesign the architecture of our groups, or I'm sorry, our businesses accordingly. Sherry says, what about Restoration Nation? I'm for it. That's come up more than once. I just didn't know if it was too cheesy. I mean, we're trying to get away from cheesy. I don't know. Trey, you had something to say, yeah? Mr. Raines?
No, did I chime in like I did?
Yeah, look, you unmuted yourself. I was like, Trey's gonna get in on this action.
Well, no. I'm casually observing right now. I'm waiting. I got something to bite though.
All right, brother. All right, I'll swing back. All right, Kiefer, you got something to add to that?
Oh, I was just coughing, but yes, I do.
Hold on.
But, yeah, sheesh, I'm a mess. But so the only problem for Restoration Rebels
one of the best IPAs in the world, right there. Sorry to interrupt, but vicious.
That's all right.
No, Sun River Brewing.
Once we get to where we're trying to get, with the end goals of everything, then what are we rebelling against? So
that's exactly right. The perfect solution, the perfect scenario is we don't need to exist anymore. We get to go away because it's a better world and it's a better way of being. And then we can be a network of people. So maybe that's why we need to start focusing away from the rebel and more on the network.
Yep.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm picking up what you're laying down. Anybody else get that? Yeah, I think this is more powerful than being a rebel and thumbing our noses at folks. There's more value to be gleaned from just sitting together as groups of like-minded contractors.
Yeah, not even restorers, just business owners. The
Exactly.
information that's coming through is just priceless.
Exactly.
I got a little something. For that, Andy.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess I'm real proud of what I've learned here and real proud of the movement and what I've seen come out of this. So I guess most importantly, I want to be able to project that to my customers and to the people that I work for, whether it's business to business or business to customer, without having to feel any kind of a stigma. And
Yes.
that word rebel gives that stigma sometimes.
For sure.
And I'd rather circumvent that. It's not that I feel the stigma and I don't want to feel ashamed of it, because it's not a matter of shame. It's just a matter of proper business practice in a way that I can still project my pride in what we're doing here and how we're moving our industry forward, and still be able. I want that on my business card. I want it on the side of my truck, but I don't want anybody going, "That's that rebel guy." In spite of how, I mean, rebel's a mentality that's in your brain. That's in how you operate from day to day. And we still carry that forward. I think all of us will, in spite of the name. But we can still be strategic in how we apply these things. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree 100%. I got a couple suggestions. Restoration Foundation. Let's see here. Restoration United. That kind of has a ring to it. Restoration Nation Network. Okay. Little alliteration going on there. I'm going to make a move on this this month, maybe beginning of next month, because I do believe that there are folks that are they hear the word rebel and they're automatically just tune out, despite what they may or may not be able to glean or gain or learn. They don't.
Or give us.
Or give or provide.
What are we missing out on stuff?
Contribute. Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. So I'm going to make a move on that, and I think it was just best for us to bring it to the group without killing it by committee. Let's take the top 5 names that we like and everyone vote on Facebook. Yeah, all right. I'll do that in a couple weeks. How about that? I'll do that in 2 weeks and we'll go. David Olson, you got something to say?
Yeah, I'd like to add, I think this is great conversation because that word rebel kept me away for quite a while, and that's why I watched on the perimeter. And like guys know, I'm a 35-year of the industry, primarily on the franchise side, and I've watched a lot of guys come and go, and I really don't want to see this group of guys go because men and women, because I think you're doing a good thing. The word rebel kept me away.
Sure.
So maybe there's some type of a word that signifies unity, strength through unity, with a not like a strict bond, but a a bond of.
Brett, I'm sorry, Dave.
It's okay.
Brett,
Darth Vader over there. I'm kind of calling him Darth now.
Exactly.
But you get what I mean, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the Facebook page will always be Restoration Rebel. I think that's just the way it's going to be. But the public facing, the website, all the social media, the digital advertising, all that is the summit will be put on by this. It'll be much more official and less aggressive. Just for sake of getting along. And at the end of the day, I firmly believe, I said this earlier, adjusters are going away. Adjusters are going the way of the dodo bird, just like estimators are going away of the dodo bird, unless we can adapt. And I think if we can show the adaptation, and maybe we can show the adjusters how they fit in that new world, maybe we'll make some friends going forward. And the Rebel does not allow for that. I agree 100%.
Hey, I have a question for David. Who was talking just a minute ago, 35 years in the business?
David Olson.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
Question for you, and it's really just, I picked up on something you said. You've been here. I turned my video off because I'm driving and it's dark. But you said people have come and gone and in this industry. What do you think has caused people to come and go? Are you talking about because what they were talking about, they were run off, or did they run out of steam? Because I do think that there probably is going to be a silent majority of people on the carrier side or the other side of what we're rebelling against that do want us gone. But I don't think that's a good reason for us to change our name. I think we need to change it for who we want to be with, not about who we want to be against.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they're a very, very strong group of people with a lot of power, and I've seen organizations try to join for all the right intentions, but then all of a sudden get noticed, and then there's a big push against that group of people. And I think all I'm saying is I think that rebel name brings a spotlight to the situation. And again, I believe in what you guys are trying to do, being on both sides of the fence.
Wait,
So
did I hear you correctly? You said it's actually happened already?
Not in this group. I've seen it before in the industry. No, not in this group.
Okay. Well, and there's two different subjects there. So if there's somebody trying to run us away, then I want to stay what we are. I don't think if somebody wants us gone, then we need to go double down. That's kind of where I'm at. I do think we're rebel, and I think we have to be. I think, yes. How many years ago does anybody here think that electric car could have been on the road? 30, 20, 50 years ago. But you know who didn't want it? The lobbyists for oil and gas. And I know we're getting a little bit on that side, but
the old school. Yes.
The old school. They did not want it to happen. And that's where we are. And
they killed it. Yep.
If we do not Elon Musk the fuck up
and
do something different.
Did you just say that? That's awesome.
Yeah. So if we do, and you know what? Maybe we get squashed like the cockroach that we are, according to Kevin O'Leary. But I would rather, and I swear, I would rather go down trying than sit back not trying. I'm out.
Amen.
Yeah, I'm not saying anybody's tried to hurt this organization in any way, shape, or form. I've just seen it over my tenure in the industry.
Got it.
I would say the things that cause people to go away is the market doesn't want you to exist, right? Like you have to adapt with the market, and if you don't change with the market, so you learn. I mean, you have to adapt. Like business go out of business at 5 years, they're gone. What's happened every 5 years? Things change. And if you don't adapt, you're gone. And
who's our market?
And even beyond that,
who's our market? Who's our customer? They don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying the market conditions, like wherever you are, you can be in Spokane, Washington, or you can be in Birmingham, Alabama. Every market changes in some degree, right? Whether it's a carrier that gets bought out, or you do a bunch of TPA work and they drop that and they pick up alacrity, and now you got nothing. My bigger point is that's market conditions change, and that's what causes companies to go away. And then two, companies try to grow, or they don't try to grow. And most companies that operate great at $1.5 million, well, I got news for you. That doesn't mean you can do $2.5 million, right? If you got one good guy and he can run 3 good trucks, you're at 1.5. You try to go run 5 trucks with him, and you wonder why you can't get there because you don't have any systems or processes. You got one good guy. He can't handle anymore. And I think business owners, they want more, and they try to do more. They burn people out. Now that guy's gone. And that's what happens. Your company goes away. And so,
Shane, I'm looking forward to looking at your the system you've got set up.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to build 3 tiers for it, Andy, I think, and I want y'all's input. That's the reason why I want you guys over there, because I think there's going to be one level, and everybody knows the restoration contractor. You've got like the guy, the owner operator that goes up to $500,000, and you've got another guy that goes to $1 million a minute, and then you've got basically anything over $2 million. You're kind of really starting to need some systems, right? And so I think I need help and input saying, hey, this is too complicated for this guy, so I want to release 3 versions, right? A, B, and C. And then if you ever want the higher level, like the one that we run, all you got to do is launch that template. And right, it's the exact same thing, but it'll ask your people different questions. So,
what I'd like to see the shake and bake rebel set up. Like, okay, I want to start a restoration company. Okay, do you want a regular restoration company, or you want a rebel restoration company? Because guess what?
You can do that.
We got. Here's the system. Here's the truck package. We got the financing lined up for you, and here's all your documentation, all your system. And it's going to be the rebel franchise without having to be a franchise. I'm going to talk to you about the market and economics. All right. What do you get? What are the market economics of being a franchise operator? Okay, right out of the gate, you're giving up what, 10%? Because I know service messages went from 8 to 10, right? So you're getting up 10% right out of the gate. You can't charge service charges. You can't charge this. You can't charge that. Can't charge 10 and 10. Okay, so the 10 plus 20, you're giving up 30 points right out of the gate. So you're competing against guys like us who get those 30 points. Who's going to win long-term in a market like that? Market conditions, economics dictate that we're going to have more money to spend on advertising. We're going to have more money to spend on our employees. We're going to have more money to spend on our trucks and our equipment and our training because we got 30-point head start. It's only a matter of time. Now, if
3 years ago, I didn't have you guys.
Yeah.
I joined a group 3 years ago. I was general contractor. And now I wouldn't have to join the group. I talk to guys all across the country. Like the internet and the resources you get is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And you just got to use it. But I think that's the biggest thing. Like those guys, those poor dinosaurs before us, man, they freaking had to just wing it, right? You don't have to do it anymore. Every
time. All right, Trey, you got your hand raised and everything. That's very unrebel of you, but thank you.
I'm cutting off my mic.
All right.
I'm a little formal. No, I just wanted to say, just in response to the gentleman's comments, no, I agree with everything you're saying. The only thing I would say in retort is that you should start your systems when you are a $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 rebel. You start your systems then, and you get used to your systems, and you ingrain them in your process. So I think that I mean, I definitely agree with what you're saying, but I don't want to miscarry that. The guys with the one truck. This is when you join in and you start making these systems and you start developing these business processes and you start learning, what a profit and loss sheet is and how to actually value your time and how to really estimate what you're spending on jobs and cost analysis and all these types of things. So, I guess I just want to compound on that and say that that's kind of the benefit of this group is these young guys starting off, these independents who don't have all these resources that are coming from a corporate structure. They can really dive in and start learning about how to really value what's going on in their business. What is overhead? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We've got so much. We got a backstop for folks. It didn't exist before we existed. We got this place where we can tell. I reached out to Mark Watley today, and I asked him what turned out to be a really dumb question. I'm not going to repeat it here, but it was a dumb question. I didn't think it was when I asked it, but he said I could hear him shaking his head over the phone at the question I asked him. But the punchline is, he saved me from making a really, really dumb mistake because I had my blinders on. I was going down a road and I reached out to a fellow rebel and asked a question. And he said, I don't want to see you in cuffs. Don't do that. I'm like, whoa, really? And we had a conversation, but if I didn't have that resource, I might have made that dumb mistake, right? And 2 months from now, you might see me in handcuffs because I was dumb, right? So it's hard to understand. It's hard to overstate the value that this group has, and I don't want to lose that. No matter what we do with naming or whatever, I never, ever, ever want to lose that.
Hey, Andy, this is Dave.
Go ahead.
I helped write stages of development systems and achievements and goals for 2 different franchise networks. So if anybody ever wants to talk to me about jumping the $250,000 to the $400,000 to $500,000 volume levels, I've been there. I've done that. So my phone is open for anybody that wants to talk about. I've always said, how do you get more rockets to the moon? You launch more launch pads, and those launch pads are our trucks. Mm-hmm. So my phone number is open to any one of you.
All right, y'all, you heard it here. I'm not going to let them deny it later on. Reach out. Don't be afraid. Who do we got here first time? Mr. Stokes, you've been here, yeah? No, your first time. I thought, is that Nebraska? Talk to me. Where you at? What are you doing?
Of course it is. And it doesn't stand for knowledge. No, Kenny Stokes. I'm the owner of Stokes Public Adjusters here in Kansas City. And
Welcome. We
gotten
got,
into the,
hey, you're the first PA to come join us on our weekly roundtable. So,
yeah, that's good.
yeah, good.
I want to be just a resource, man. I mean, I know in this group a lot of guys have policy questions and things like that. So if you have those questions, that don't mean blow up my damn Facebook page or my phone, but I can definitely provide information in reference to that, because I know I've been in the group for a little bit, and I've seen a lot of questions have been asked, and there are a lot of policy questions. So, but yeah, that's how I want to contribute to the group, man.
Amen. What part of the country you in?
I'm in Kansas City.
Okay, Kansas City. What's your
Yeah.
range? Where will you go to handle actual?
Well, right now I'm only just licensed in 3 states, so Kansas,
Okay.
Nebraska, and Missouri.
Okay.
So
What's your bread and butter?
Meaning
What?
expertise?
Well, yeah. What do you do the most of that pays the bills?
Well, I handle a lot of commercial losses. Fire.
Okay.
Fire would be number 1.
Perfect.
Yep.
Good. What percentage of your losses are going total loss versus repair?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it all depends. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
it depends.
Okay.
It all depends.
All right, y'all. Well, Kenny he's come out from the shadows. He is a public adjuster. We're not going to throw tomatoes. I'm a public adjuster, by the way, y'all. So hold the tomatoes. And so he's just offered his services and his advice. So don't take advantage of that, but definitely leverage that if you really, really need to. I appreciate it, Kenny.
Yeah, I noticed that you say PA, but honestly, I think a lot of guys in this Rebel group, I think probably a high percentage of you guys are really public adjusters.
Oh, easy. No up in here.
There you are. There you are. Good PAs.
Yeah,
Thanks, Andy.
we play one on TV. That's right. All right. Thanks, Kenny.
Yep.
Who else? First timer. Looking around the room. Darth Vader's got his hood off. Glad to see that. Bob's back from vacation because he's wearing flannel again. Welcome back. How was vacation, Bob? Let me hear the best part of your vacation.
Well, we stayed in a treehouse.
Well, that's something.
Yeah, that was something. It was up in the rainforest and on the Big Island, and there was this road that went back. There was just no houses, nothing there, a little dirt road way back in there. The guy that owned it, his name was Sky, which is a little different, but it had running water, it had a kitchen, it had a sink. Everything was off grid, running off of batteries and solar panels.
Nice.
Yeah, and an on-demand hot water tank to give us showers with. So it was cool.
Wow. Well, I could tell you were having a good time. You were.
Yes.
Much needed. I could see that. Let's get down. Let's get back to marketing. One of the biggest tenets, one of the biggest, the 3 pillars or one of the legs of the stool, as it were, for the Restoration 2.0 movement and how we're going to survive and thrive into the next version of our own industry that we're going to help create right here, by the way, is marketing, business development. We've got to go get our own work, and we've got to be smart about it. We can't spend $1 billion on PPC because that's the hottest thing, or spend $500,000 on a new website in SEO because that's the new thing. We've got to be smart. We've got to be intentional. And going back to what Jerry and Edel and I were talking about before all y'all were in the room, was you got to start with your why. You got to figure out why you do what you do. Because if you don't know why you do what you do, and if you don't know Simon Sinek, go look on YouTube right now, Sinek. Stop, just leave this. If you've never watched Simon Sinek, just leave. All right, we'll be here next week. You leave right now. Go to YouTube and go to Sinek, Simon Sinek. Watch any of his videos, any of them. I don't care which one. Just profound stuff. So you got to start with why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you getting out of bed in the morning? And that will inform every decision you make from there on out. But today I want to talk about time. We're selling time back to our clients. Time is the only asset we can't get more of. Time is that thing that we get to the end of our lives and wish we had more of. Time is that thing we wish we spent smarter on experiences instead of going to work for that extra hour, right? No one got to the end of their life and said, man, I wish I would have worked one more day. They say, man, I wish I would have done X, Y, and Z. I wish I had this experience. I wish I would have visited this country. I wish I'd have said this thing to the person that I love. So what are we doing? What are we doing for time? How are we helping our clients get more time? How do you propose we leverage time to our advantage and the advantage of our clients and make it a value proposition? I'm going to open it wide up. I've got some ideas, but I want to open up first. Come on now. Don't be shy.
Back in Pierce County, Washington, when I had my business, we had an association of independent restoration guys along with the franchise guys, and we always tried to have one common message going into our marketplace, and I think that's something, you know, that you guys could look at as a group. I mean, you don't understand the strength of 1,400. I see you got, what, 1,400 people that pay attention to you.
That'd get Parker. I like that shirt, Parker.
You have no idea how long or how big that that network could be. If you guys could form a common message monthly or quarterly or, you know, whatever it is, you got tremendous strength in this organization. So I would say your time is your message. Talking points, and reiterating the talking points, consistent talking points. Yes. Is that what we're? Yes, for sure. One common message, one common goal, and one common reason. Absolutely. And that's not 10 and 10. It's not assignment of benefits. All right. Those are tactical moves. Those are short-term strategies. Those are not overarching goals. The overarching goal is sustaining and thriving and surviving and defining making our own definition of what it means to be a restoration contractor. All right, who else has some ideas? Shane, I'm sure you've got some time stuff baked into the systems you're developed. Let's talk about just not the system, not the software, not that, but let's talk about the ways in which you're saving restoration contractors' time and maybe their clients' time at the same time.
So I'll say this. I don't do any of this to promote a system or software. Number one, I haven't even named it. But number two, the only reason why I do it is because I want that result. I want the result, right? And so what result do I want? I want a better experience for my client, right? And so believe me, if I could get some of these people, like some of y'all's organizations down here, I'd quit writing it right now because I'd have like a great company. Mm-hmm. But apparently I'm really bad at hiring people. And so I'm a horrible judge of character, but seriously.
No, man, you just got a big heart, man. That's nothing to be ashamed of.
So I'm big on marketing. I'm big on differentiation. You tell me what your weakness is and I can tell you how to flip it around and make it a strong thing, right? I mean, Embrace who you are. Be different. None of y'all probably read The Purple Cow. I keep saying that over and over again.
Love The Purple Cow.
You've just got to be different. And I guess, so how do I save them time? By closing the claim faster. And, you know, we're making bold brand promises right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. Why? And so I had to put the system together because I was like, dude, we'll never do that. I got to screw everything up. But be bold, be right out of the gate, bold number one, and keep being bold. Everything you will force your people to be big and bold or they'll screw up every 5 minutes, right? And so that's what I want to do because I just want I want that customer to be in the best hands possible. Like if they called anybody, I'm taking the best care of them. And I don't know saving them time, peace of mind. I'm giving them utility, right? Making the best out of a bad situation. And I want it to be repeatable. If I can't do it repeatable the same way all the time, I don't even want to do it. I don't, because all of a sudden somebody at my company is going to bring me a new offering. We're going to try it and I'll screw up and we're going to piss off a good referral source because we were just trying to do something we can't even do all the time. You can't do it over and over on a regular basis, not just with that one technician, but all of them. If they can't all execute it, then you're putting a noose around your neck if you sign up for that.
If you can't do it well, and if you can't hope to do it best in class, don't do it. Don't even try. Find someone that can do it. Maybe make a partner. to do it, that can do it best in class, but don't come out of the gate with a half-assed, half-baked solution. Yeah, you come with real solutions.
The good news, we all suck, right? And so even
Oh,
your
hell.
competition sucks too, right? And so they're not going to beat you either because they're not any more committed to it. But and so we can get there.
Yes,
but that's the biggest thing, being honest with yourself, I think, and just being willing to do it. And so I'm having to reinstitute and relearn culture because, you know, I have an issue with accountability. I'm like the visionary. I got 21 ideas this week. And so, you know, I have to combat that. So I've got my own problems.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of example of another way to save time is to take into account opportunity cost. As most of you know, if you didn't pick up on it, I was in Memphis helping out Logan Little, and I was hoping he would jump on the call tonight, but he's still freaking busy. All week last week, I think I saw 26 different properties last week, and I scoped them, and I'm estimating them currently, because he didn't have the time. Actually, he had the time, but he would have had to trade that time of managing his employees, signing up new projects, doing quality control, doing all these other things that means to be a general manager and project manager and estimator. He would have had to give up those things in order to go scope and estimate. So he made a value judgment of how do I get this stuff done? Well, I was able to, I made him a value proposition. I will come into town for X. I will do all this for you, take it all off your plate, and then you can go use your time better to do these other things. It's just a trade-off. It's a value trade-off, everything we do. So how can we translate that into our clients on a daily basis? Another analogy I like to draw is when I used to do a lot of hiking. I haven't done a lot of hiking lately. I don't know if you could tell, but I've got 5 backpacks that I haven't used in a number of years. But when I did backpack, I'd go out for 4, 5, 6 days at a time. I didn't carry anything that didn't have more than one use. I didn't carry any tool that didn't have 2 or 3 different potential uses to me. I didn't carry a knife. I carried a multi-tool, right? I didn't carry just a sleeping pad and a chair, right? My chair turned into a sleeping pad. It was multi-use. So how are we able to be multi-use or enable our clients to do more than one thing at a time, or have less opportunity costs for the things they choose to spend their time on?
I have something, Randy.
Go ahead, Clark.
I'm the least marketing savvy person in this room, I'm quite sure. But think about how everybody here, if you market to agents or adjusters or property managers or realtors, you're asking them for a referral to their prized golden egg, which is their client. And what you do is, if you do a great job and make that customer happy, and where they don't have to call that agent and complain and then ask for another referral, you're allowing that person, you're giving that person more time to go out and pick up new business. So that's an indirect way that I look at it with my guys. Like, solve the problem of your client, and whether your client's the end user or whether your client is a referral source, solve the problem for them so they can do more with their time, and they'll always remember your client. So that's something that I think we do.
I think they just want to trust you, right? I mean, like, honestly, if you perform when they need it, they will throw work at you hand over fist. For those of y'all that don't know, I had a music career before this, and I wasn't the best singer. I was the best looking, right? But other than that, like, what else did I have? That's a joke, by the way. But seriously, why? Because how did I get those gigs and when everybody else would get pitches? Because my booking agent trusted that we would do a good job, like even in the early days. And if they just trust you, they won't leave you for the faster, shinier. They have no reason. They get nothing out of it. And that's where you go back to even plumbers. Like they're saying, well, you got to pay a plumber more. Dude, he is not going to ruin a relationship with a customer. He will take less money or no money to know that someone's taking care of his customers on a regular basis. I promise you that. So, Clark, I would say that is like the best marketing. As a matter of fact, just build trust.
Well, our business model that we're in, everybody knows that we're a large plumbing company, and Blaine's on the call. He'll understand this. We're a plumbing company in HVAC and electrical and then restoration. So we actually treat, and I'm actually proud of this, and when it places that we can, we treat calls and new projects as service calls. So unless it's a blaring emergency, house is flooding over like crazy, then we obviously go straight there. But I'd say 70% of we set appointments, and we've got slots open. We've got 8 to 12 and a 10 to 2 and a 12 to 4. And, so it's in that vein. So much like the dreaded direct TV is going to show up from between 8 to 4. So, but the way we manage that all the way from the very beginning, from inception, is a tech is supposed to be at the front door at 8:05, knocking on the door. Because that's when that customer, if you tell them 8 to 12 or even 8 to 10, they're expecting 8 o'clock. Well, if they're not, you need to call them ahead and say, listen, he's going back first thing this morning to a job that he was at all night. He's going to be there closer to 9:30. You've just given that customer an extra hour to not look out the blinds waiting for you to show up, to go do some hot yoga, to go watch the show that they DVR'd last night or something like that. So you just bought your customer. So like Andy said, the one thing that they can't get back is time. Same thing if I'm supposed to be out there at noon and I'm still at a call and I'm going to be at my current call until 1 o'clock, tell that customer at 10 o'clock, call them up and say, I think we're actually going to be closer to 1:30 or 2. Does that work for you, or do we need to rearrange our appointment? No, that works great. I'll go back to the office and get something done, or I'll make a conference call. But if you don't, that customer is waiting for you. So that's, in our industry, that's the biggest thing. We get the most feedback on our reviews about time is like, you were courteous of my time and you respected it, and et cetera, et cetera.
Who's typing on the computer right now? I can't see them, but I can hear them. All right, good move, whatever that was. So, Clark, I agree 100%. And what actually is a mechanism to give them that time back? It's communication. It's incredible communication. Do you have a system that's able to guarantee that your guy's going to be there between an hour window, and B, communicate when things go wrong and don't go according to plan, so you can let your client determine the next action. That
Right.
type of control over their own time. Who's ever been on hold? Okay, everybody. But the last couple of years, that magical thing, like if you would not like to stay on hold, you can hold your spot in line and we will call you back. That's genius. Genius. So how can we emulate that Clark, sounds like you got a great system to do that. But it's actually, it manifests, it pays dividends so much bigger than the cost of the system or whatever it does to implement it, because you're buying a customer at that point, because they all of a sudden have control over their time back. And that's the biggest value altogether. Clark, thanks for adding that. It's priceless what you do when you do something like that. Someone said something about agents. So I missed it. I had World War III going on outside my door here. Jared, do you have anything to add as far as saving time for agents, or what is, you have a process, right? A marketing to agents. So when you have a claim come in, it kind of saves them a trip out to do underwriting. Explain that to me.
No, agents hardly ever go out on a lost site.
But now you give an opportunity to put their eyes and ears on the job without being on a job. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's anytime, we've learned how to be the eyes and the ears of the adjuster. We want to get along well with an adjuster, do that with them, right, Kenneth? Don't let him get surprised, keep him in the loop, right? Yeah, that's for sure. But when you translate a little bit further and you think about the agent, and you can be their eyes and ears as well, because there's stuff that they've got going on in people's homes that they have no idea. Tons of agents today are buying out other agencies' books of business. So that means they've never met them. Best example I can give you, true story, no kidding. One of the guys I was working with found in a customer's home a real live first edition hand signed Picasso painting that was water, from a water damage, fell off the wall. Lady wasn't home. She wasn't there. She comes back. He's dealing with her. He sees this Picasso. He's talking to this innocent retired lady who's got this Picasso. She can't even remember how her and her husband had it. She forgot all about it. She never told the agent anything about this Picasso. He calls the agent.
This guy had no idea he insured a house with a Picasso.
Well, he had no clue. Guess what agent showed up on that job like instantaneously, right? I mean, he couldn't get out there fast enough. And the good news was it was all handled properly. It was his eyes, ears, and his heart with his customer. So it's like, he sees this customer. My guy is explaining to this agent, here's what's going on. He's like, are you kidding me? She was in a book of business I bought. She's got $2,500 worth of, coverage, for art stuff in her home. And so the good news was the story ends quickly, but
wait, that might cover the frame. I think that would cover the frame.
It actually covered the art restoration for, we went to a conservator for, some a little bit of water damage on the bottom edge. It was all it was. So it was totally covered. And the agent ended up selling her a $1.2 million marine policy on that thing. I mean, that's an extreme example, and nobody's going to find a Picasso, right? I mean, just don't go there. But how many times are you in somebody's home and they're holding a new baby? I've been there and done that. How many times have you been in a home and the customer's freaking out because he's remodeled their kitchen, right? And now it's all a mess, right? You've all seen those kind of jobs. And that agent has no clue. And the next thing you know, is there policy coverage limits that are going on? And, that friendly adjuster's got to deal with that now. So it's just thinking about stuff that you could help that agent with. And when you can do that for that agent, you're bringing relevant, real value to them. And they're not just a pay-per-click where you spent $75 to get somebody to call you or whatever. That's crazy. It's gone. Poof. You got to spend that every time over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was, oh, shoot, where'd he go? Is he gone? Oh, then he's gone. All right.
A lot of people turn their video off.
No. Who are you looking at? Shane was talking about this, but it's like, if you can give that agent some value like that, oh my gosh, it's long term. You can get agents sending you work for years and years, and that pays long term. And that's the kind of work you want, because you want that agent committed to you and doing everything she can to get work to you, instead of going to their own TPA.
Right. Or their preferred vendor. So that information is like found money, right? It's found time for that agent. They would have never made the time to go do that inspection, but you did it for them. So you found the time. Finding the time for them is like finding money for them. Yeah. So that's a great example of finding time, selling time. Leveraging time to your client's advantage, leveraging time for ROI. And Jerry is actually going to be presenting at the summit in May, and I'm really looking forward to you and Jordan coming down to Nashville for that. So, and you're gonna expand on that 5 minutes you just had, but it's gonna be an hour worth of, okay, how do we market to agents better? Because that's a relationship that has been largely ignored or taken for granted, or I'm just gonna drop some notepads on them or some flyers or some donuts. That shit don't work.
No.
But if we provide value, real value, found time is found money. It's perfect. That's the way we're going to get more business.
Yep.
That's where we're going to win business away from the TPAs.
Yep. And the good news is so many of those big box guys that are out there are still doing that kind of donut stuff that's just junk.
They think it still works.
Doesn't work.
It still works. Let them spend the money. For sure.
Yeah. So it's better for you.
God. Speaking of, Parker says 80% of my work comes from agents. Yes, they are. Because you provide value. Plus, you're a ginger. I mean, they can't resist the ginger coming in their office telling them some stuff. No, it's so.
Because of that shirt.
It's that shirt for sure.
Can I suggest a future topic?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, the hosting of continuing education classes and its benefit for your company. That's a program. Yeah. I implemented that about a year and a half ago at our company, and we did really well with it. So I think that kind of is a supplement to what you guys are talking about. So
yeah, and once again, it's about value of time, and how much value do you give them for their time, and they're going to have to spend the time in CE anyway. So why don't you make it fun? Why don't you make it more educational than online CE? There's a million different ways to provide more value through CE and win over agents. So I agree 100%. Let's talk about that next week if nothing else comes up. Just so you all know, at the end of the month. Clark, was that Clark?
Yeah, Trey, call me. Trey, when you're done, call me. I wanted to tell you what we used to do at CE classes, and we'll talk about it next week.
Okay, that'd be great.
I'm sure there's 100 folks in here that I used to give CE classes. I'd give all day CE classes. So yeah, I'm sure there's lots of people that could give feedback on that. The early bird discount ends at the end of January for the Restoration 2.018. See what I did there? 2.018. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot of wah, wah, wah. But I did it. I'm not ashamed. Early bird discount ends January 31st. So if you want to save a couple $100, get yourself to Nashville for the summit this year. Where did I put the link? I don't have a web link yet, but it's in the group. So get on Eventbrite, buy your tickets. We've got 6 or 7 tickets sold so far. I'd love to get as many folks as possible down there to Nashville. Trey, you need some love on that. No? Yes? Dude, you got to get down there, bro. We got to figure out how to get you there. If you're not there, I'm going to be just like sad and cry and stuff. And he's muted, so he's like saying stuff and I can't hear him. Anyway, end of the month is the end of the early bird discount. Otherwise, you're going to pay, I think it's $550. It's going to be, we're talking about ROI, right? Your return for your time. It's going to be 100x ROI. I guarantee it. There's just so much good stuff that comes out of these summits. Anything else to add? Oh, there's Trey. Trey. All right.
I'm going to be there.
Lock it in. That's what I like to hear. All right. That's what I like to hear. Good.
We only got 8. We only got 8 tickets sold. That's a blasphemy.
Well, I haven't done a good job of promoting it. There's always something else to do. I got to put it on the website and do all this jazz. But we do have an article coming out in R&R magazine that I think is going to go a long ways. And maybe we'll have our name changed by then. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we're 5 minutes over our hour. Anybody have any last words before we hang up our hats? Bob is in. Yes, Bob is coming. And if you've never played poker against babyface Bob Timmel, it's an experience.
How many days is it?
It's just 2 days. Easy in and out. It's a Friday, Saturday. So you travel day Thursday, travel day Sunday, in and out. Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to figure out something to do on Friday night. We haven't figured that out yet. Along that note, if y'all have sponsors that may want to sponsor some stuff, get a booth, sponsor signs, whatever else, there's plenty of opportunity to do that. So put the word out that way to your contacts, folks that want to show up and represent the rebel side. We love sponsors. That's what makes the world go round.
Say, Andy.
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank Shane in particular and Clark for their input. There's a whole lot to the picture that we're trying to paint. I'm one of the older guys in the group, but when it comes to the education side of things, we really there's a wealth of education or levels of knowledge in this group. As old as I am astounded by the things that I'm learning from this group. So if we can continue to move forward in that regard, how to better run a business, what are we missing? Those kinds of things. I am all for that. I think that the general education is really good. I was really glad to see the reading list come out, and the conversations today were just, as far as I'm concerned, were top notch. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. And I'm sad you missed it when we were in town. Yes,
Andy,
sir.
Dave, do you guys do any peer financial groups studies, or where you sit down and sign a confidentiality and really dig into each other's P&Ls and balance sheets?
We have not got that deep yet.
Okay.
That being said, there is a portion of everyone that signs up for the summit and comes to the summit is going to be put in a pod of 5 owners or operators or people. That group of 5 is going to continue to interact. It's going to be mandated by a system we're going to put in place. You're going to interact for the next 6 to 12 months as business owners, as operators. So you're going to come to the summit. You're going to learn some stuff. You're going to learn a lot. But then you're going to have the feedback and accountability group to hold you accountable to implement those things in your own business for the next year. So that's going to be the most powerful thing about the summit this year is we all know how summits and conventions go. You go for a couple days, you get all excited, you get a little inebriated 1 or 2 nights, and then you go home and it goes away. And that's not good. We don't want it to go away. We need this to continue. We need this to grow. We need this to mushroom. We need our influence to continue to grow and build as an industry. So I've got World War III going on here. So I'm going to jump off. Yeah, Clark. I'm gonna actually just gonna hit Clark. You can take this over for the next couple minutes. I'm gonna go outside.
Okay, I just want to answer whoever just I had the phone down. Who asked about the peer review?
Dave Olson.
Hey, Dave. Yeah, I don't think we've done that as a group, of course, but I'm not sanctioned as a group restoration. But I helped actually somebody this week do that. Someone called up and said, listen, I hear y'all talking about your numbers, and I did. They emailed me a NDA, and I got no problem with that. And I'm by no means a financial genius, but I do know how to make restoration work. And this person did, fire, smoke, and water, or they did fire, mold, and water. And I gave them, I hope, and I gave them what I do to start identifying so they can figure out per trade what their margins are. They weren't even into that part of their business, really. They just know that they had money coming in and going out and that they could afford to pay their bills and have a little bit left over. But what I think we're going to try to do, and we agreed to keep talking for 3 months, is identify if you're not making your margins on fire. First off, let's try to fix that. But if it's just not your thing, then double down on the ones that you're making the most on. Put your advertising dollars, your marketing towards mold. Find some more, whatever's making you the most margins. But my first career, I didn't understand financial and business. And I took business classes, but not how to run a business classes. So this is another thing in this. It's not something I want to do for anybody, really. It's not my strength, but the way I run 9 different offices or whatnot, I have to know P&Ls like the back of my hand so I can know where I'm leaking. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you, I've done that one-on-one, but it's not something I want to do anymore. It's not fun.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that stops a lot of the guys from growing is debt. And then one is, like you said, it's very important to understand your centers of income. And if they don't have a proper P&L, if they don't have it all categorized right, expense, income, it's going to be very difficult for them to basically get to that next level.
So one of the things I'm going to do, kind of as part of the little university group, I'm going to think of this kind of like a book club or different courses, if you will. What I've learned is I don't have a group that we've looked at what you're referring to, mostly because people say they want it and they don't. Because I mean, hell, it's hard to get them they won't even make the call. I'll ask them questions and they don't have answers. So this is pretty much a all hat, no cattle business. So it's just very hard to find people that are interested in it. What I would say is when you're talking to them about but just conversationally, you'll be able to see if they're even interested in it. I'd love to be able to do it long term, but your company has to be so similar to that other company. The numbers don't even really match that much, right? It's going to be more philosophical of what do you do, why do you do it, and how do you do it. But that doesn't mean that what I do is going to make sense for you, even if we're remotely the same, because our markets are so different. That's the biggest thing.
No, that's where you have to almost look at that as percentage of income. And I've found that over the years, guys understand what's in their account, what they owe and what's owed to them. And that's a lot of the way people run their businesses, and it just kills them.
Well, even beyond that, they still don't understand the risk, right? It's not even about what's in your receivables. And just because you're making it doesn't mean you're not barely skirting by, dude. You're like, you do all TPA work, or you've got more than 40% of your business coming from one referral source. I mean, so I've seen people are completely naive and blind to risk. And so even though they think they're a good source for advice, everybody else is looking at them like, look at these numbers. I'm like, dude, they're one phone call away from going away. So you got to be careful on who you get your advice from.
Well, and you got to understand what your numbers mean. And I'm a big fan of the American school of thought. You go to school and you get A, B's, C's, and D's. Well, the American thought process is, well, I got to improve the C's and D's. I'm going to go look at the C's and D's and get those up to B's. Well, I don't buy into that at all. You have A, B, C's, and D's. Well, what are you getting A's at? That means that's what you do well, and you double and triple down on that. But if you can't tell if you're doing well in it, it means you're not able to measure it, right? If you can't measure your return on any given task, then you need to measure the return on all your tasks. You know what you're winning at. If you don't know that, then that's the first thing to understand, to get a grip on your business. And that's what it means to be a good businessman is understand. And I'm with Clark. I am the worst with numbers. I got like checks left. I'm like, oh, does that mean there's money in there? No, but I haven't balanced a checkbook for I don't know ever. I'm just terrible with numbers, but I know what I'm passionate about, and I can tell what turns people on about what they're doing. So if you concentrate on that, if it's got a proven return, you're positive, you're getting A's, you're getting A pluses in that division of your business, then do that and find somebody else to do the rest that you're getting C's and D's in. Find somebody else to plug those holes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What about Johnny Boy? Is he pretty good? I heard, right? Jay Grubb.
He's a genius. Certifiable genius. Here's a guy that he runs a website called United Restores because he's passionate about our industry.
Yeah.
But he was depressed. He was like, man, people just don't get it. They don't understand. And then I reached out to him one day, or he reached out to me, and we started.
I remember you guys talked.
We started jamming, and he got the fire back. It's like, oh, this is why I do what I do. And he's incredibly passionate. He does PPC, pay-per-click.
Yeah. I was talking to him, but right when he was about to get that building, and then I think he got super swamped or something.
Yeah.
But we were right there, and I had my paperwork all done. And,
Yeah.
it's been hard to get a hold of them. So.
Pay-per-click needs to be part of the mix.
Mhm.
Digital advertising, social advertising needs to be part of the mix. I don't see anyone doing social correctly, and I'm 4 weeks away from just going, you know what, I'm going to start my own digital agency because I've been doing it for myself for so long. I know what works. I follow a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, and if you're interested in social media, you should follow Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a genius. But I don't see anyone doing social correctly in our industry. Now, Stellar eMarketing may be doing some of that, but really they're SEO. So I mean, when you're looking at marketing, you got in-person marketing, you got agent marketing like Jerry, you've got pay-per-click, which is still a thing. You got to put some money in pay-per-click. You got SEO. You've got to make sure your website converts. You got to make sure that people are going to go to your website and actually do the action that you want them to, have the correct call to action. There's so many different things. So, Jonathan's going to be at the summit. Stellar eMarketing, I think, is going to sponsor in a major way. If y'all are watching right now, you're going to sponsor in a major way, by the way. Make it happen. And I think the missing link in our industry is social. I don't see anyone doing real social or video marketing in a major way, and I might have to start it myself because that's what I mean. Speaking of A, B, C's, and D's, I love doing video. I love doing social media marketing. So maybe that's what I should be doing instead of writing estimates all day. So, all right, we're way over time. Any last words? Hey, Brett, by the way, thanks for asking that question in the chat, and I hope I answered it just now. Yes?
You did. Great. Thank you.
Good.
Hey, class thing. Andy, tell everybody
sir.
we're global now. We're part of Australian groups now, so we're all over.
Dude,
that.
We got Liverpool and we got Australia. And
Yes,
Clark,
sir.
when are we going to Australia?
June.
Fucking A. Yes, we are. You're gonna. You hold me to it. I'll hold you to it. You know what? Life is too short. Life is too short for the maybes. Life is too short for the, I don't know if I can afford it. Life is too damn short. We could be dead tomorrow. So do what you do. Do what you want to do. Do what builds you here. And you can't go wrong. Regret. And regret is the most painful thing to carry. Don't carry it. Just do it. Love y'all. We'll see you in the group this week.
Thanks, Andy.
See ya.